Our last remaining game of the day, Purple versus Firebat. This one does not really have too many relegation implications going on, but it does have playoff implications. It does also have some smack talk implications between two players. I'm pretty sure would love to fire some shots at each other here and there. Firebat has protected his warrior in this series. Purple has protected his druid, and only one priest was then banned. Now, I was about to commend...
It's because of the Highlander mage.
I was about to commend the America's Grandmasters for all knowing how to play Hearthstone up until this point.
So
this was excellent.
From Firebat's perspective,
yeah,
he has 3 favorable matchups against Priest.
Go on.
If his opinion has not changed since week number 2 or 3 when he initially said it,
he thinks his Highlander warrior is favored?
He thinks his Highlander warrior is favored, he thinks his Holy Wrath Paladin is favored, and he thinks his Highlander mage is favored. Not by a lot. Not by a lot.
Well, the statistics pan out that there is only one of those decks that is actually favored, and it is this one right there. That's 100% deliberate, TJ. I don't know what you're talking about. This Highlander mage, this Highlander mage is the one deck in Grandmasters with a favorable win rate against Priest over a reasonable sample size, and even then, I think it was like 4-1 or something similar to that. However, this is built in a very Firebat-y way. There's a couple of little spicy techs in there. I love the Iron Beak Owl. I think that is a great recognition of if you are going to need to silence a Priest minion, you need to do it on turn 3 and not turn 4. That can make all the difference. The ice cream peddler part of the equation, though, I'm still not quite understanding.
I am thoroughly confused. For many reasons. 1, we showed Firebat's mage deck. 2, it says he's playing warrior. And 3, he's playing paladin.
We just want to make sure everyone's paying attention. It's the end of the day. We don't want people just AFKing in chat for packs. We just want to make sure they're paying attention and they know what's going on. We've got to throw them a curveball every now and again. Wake up!
Okay. That was a... I thought I was in a parallel universe for a moment. But game number 1, Druid vs. Paladin. A matchup that we've seen a lot and that I enjoy. Purple playing the Quest, the normal Quest Druid, not the... Malagos Quest Druid.
Yes, Normie Druid, as myself and Admirable have started to call it, featuring sometimes, but not always, Chef Normie. I thought you'd enjoy that.
Let the pain speak to me.
That gave me a giggle.
It did. Firebat, I've been very impressed with his Holy Wrath Paladin play. I shouted out on the EU broadcast that I felt like Yala had been playing the best Holy Wrath Paladin that I'd seen, and the Hunter Race was up there as well, but hadn't been tested at the level that Yala had. And a couple of people tweeted me and said, hey, what about Firebat? And like I said, I don't watch as much Americas as I do Europe. I'm kind of mandated to watch all of Europe.
It's clean.
So
it's
yeah,
real clean.
But based on those tweets, I did go back and check out some of his Holy Wrath Paladin games, and yeah, he does certainly seem like he has a very, very nice handle on this deck.
And surprisingly enough, well, not surprisingly enough, because he's Firebat, but he also has such a simplistic way to view things.
Okay.
And break things down to where it's not like these... They are big brain plays, but they're made in the sense that they're just simple, common sense plays. It's very refreshing.
There's plenty to go around.
As mentioned, this Soup Vendor is in Firebat's deck. Now, it's usually a Soup Vendor competing with an Acolyte of Pain for a spot. Firebat plays both of those cards and cuts a Consecration from his deck, which is something that interests me a great deal because... I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast, it's not like there's a great deal of Zoo and Aggro Warrior running around in Hearthstone Grandmasters where you need a bunch of AoE. Unfortunately. Just a big Aggro Warrior fan, TJ?
I am.
Okay. You play Highlander or regular?
One shot, one kill.
What are these assortment of random noises in lieu of a response to my question?
Regular.
Okay.
Come on. You think I want a Bloodlust?
So you want to play 2 of the only good card in your deck. That's the important
There's
thing.
a lot of good cards in that deck.
Is there really?
Yeah. Arcanite Reaper, Kor'kron Elite, Bloodsworn Mercenary.
Now you got that third one.
Inner Rage.
Inner, spicy card. Last time we started talking about a completely different deck, we missed Race just playing the wrong flute from his hand.
Yeah. I'm hyper-focused. I was half expecting that Zephyrs to be active on turn 6. That would be impressive.
Firebat has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 duplicates in his starting deck list.
Do you like to play with fire?
Your wish is my suggestion.
Whoa! Plays a Bloodfen Raptor.
It doesn't have the beast tag. Does have an elemental tag though.
Is there a 2-mana 3/2 elemental?
There is. Yeah.
Yeah, Zephyrs.
Because Firebat has cycled so aggressively, I think he felt free to drop the Zephyrs just to make hand space to be able to be free to try and play Prismatic Lens.
I agree. I think having now drawn that second Prismatic Lens, that starts to make that decision even better as well. When I was talking earlier about learning that I was overvaluing Pyromancers, it was actually Firebat's games that really made that clear to me as I was just watching him like just play a Pyromancer on turn 2 in a matchup where, you know, even against like Shamans and other aggressive decks, like I watched him play it on stream on Ladder and he was just like, yeah, I mean, I could hold this Pyro with this coin and just maybe clear a board later, or I could have a 3/2 in play right now and just play it out on the board. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, Firebat. I guess that is exactly the kind of thing you're talking about, where it's like, well, they are big brain plays, but they don't sound like big brain plays when you break them down. That's exactly the kind of thing that Firebat is known for.
I must move quickly.
He's also known for his pineapple shirt.
And his unseasonal Christmas sweater that he was wearing last week as well.
Wonder where this True Silver Champion swing wants to go. Nowhere.
Now it's the rush, right?
I mean, he's got 8 cards left in his deck and another True Silver Champion in his hand.
That is true. Okay, that's a fair point. I have cast so many 1 True Silver Pally games today that I was not taking note of the fact that there's a second True Silver in hand. He plays Soup Vendor, Acolyte of Pain, and 2 True Silver.
Yes.
So he cuts 1 Consecration and...
Theckle.
Of course, yeah. I remember him trash-talking that card quite heavily on stream one day as well. Just saying, he said that even in the mirror, where most people would say like that's the best matchup for Theckle, it's better to just have another card draw card so you can cycle through your deck quicker, which I can kind of get on board with that theory.
Yeah.
I trust that he's put more testing into it than I have.
Yeah, it's effectively a soup vendor.
Yep.
Let me think.
So, kind of awkward territory for Firebat. Looks like this might have to be an unload of a Shrink Ray. No Wild Pyromancer, the 1 of Consecration still at the bottom. And Shrink Ray shall be unloaded.
Purple gave a little wince when he first saw that flash of light come down. Like, okay, what's the rest of your turn going to be? I think getting Shrink Rayed here is certainly not the worst thing that can happen when he's sat on a Cenarius in his hand.
Yeah.
I must move quickly.
Purple, a double Ferocious Howl gamer. Important to note.
Who dares defy this ancient land?
Symmetry!
Heck yeah.
It's just a cascading board.
Do you know there was a match in Season 1 where you and Frodan spent a good 30 to 45 seconds trying to work out what the reason for positioning was in a match of Purple versus Soleil? And it was literally just symmetry to amuse each other. That was the only reason they were doing it. And you spent like 45 seconds. Well, maybe if this happens, like Super Collider, but no, Super Collider would be better. No, they were just amusing each other. That's all they were doing.
Well, joke's on them, because when Dan and I cast their matches, that's all we do also.
You amuse each other and you paint them in a negative light.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha, do you like bagels? These guys suck.
Wow, it's like I'm there.
It's one of the many examples.
Let's move quickly.
Is another timeout?
I wonder.
Oh wait, Shirvala's still in his deck. This is lethal. No, it's not.
What?
He has a Shirvala and he has... No, he used a Shrink Ray. Never mind.
Yeah.
Wait, no. He could have Holy Wrath, Baleful Banker, Holy Wrath.
Oh.
If his Shirvala was zero.
Almost certainly is at this point, right?
Yeah, it has to be. It's still in the deck.
He's cast both Prismatic Lenses, a Shrink Ray, one time.
No, he has one Prismatic Lens still in there.
Oh, he does,
like
yeah.
my
Why
invention?
did I just not see cards in Firebat's hand?
It's still in his deck!
I actually don't think it necessarily did cost 0 before this turn, based on all the spells that he still has.
If it's the last card in his deck, he can do it.
Well, this second Hidden Oasis is going to have something to say about that.
He doesn't have his Ferocious Howls.
Nope.
So Firebat does not draw his Shirvala. He Holy Rats. Then Baleful Bankers. The Shirvala, that 0 that he plays.
Yep.
And then Holy Wraths again.
50-50 lethal this turn.
I'm almost out of cards.
Game 1 Firebat.
It's the last card.
I'm out of cards.
25 you, play it, shuffle it, 25 you, your turn. Oh wait, no, you exploded.
I'm out of cards.
I mean, the combo looks really easy when it's the last card in your deck.
Imagine they start printing cards like that. Like,
This is always the last card in your
yeah,
deck.
shuffle a card to the bottom of your deck, put a card on top of your deck, like all
Yeah.
those kind of dangerous effects.
So you just, as soon as I get through my whole deck, you die.
Yeah.
Which the deck is kind of that already. It's just a little bit more.
It does help
difficult
when
to-
you also discount a Baleful Banker in the process as well,
The
so you
Holy
can
Wrath,
just do
yeah.
the whole thing. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, the Holy Wrath. You're right.
Yeah.
You right.
But a little refreshing to not see a pre-smear in game number 1, and
Yep.
I feel like that was a much faster version of that matchup without the Ferocious Howls, without the ability to like armor up, past the second combo. Actually, I don't think it mattered because you don't get enough burst armor with just the double Ferocious. He would have died anyway.
He would have died anyway.
It wouldn't have mattered.
But I think like Firebat showed kind of some of the benefits of his version of the deck
Yeah.
list because he has 2 True Silvers. That's so much extra damage. And even though one of his True Silver swings went into a 1/1 taunt,
Yes.
which usually feels terrible, because he has that extra True Silver backed up, he felt secure in throwing out Zephyrus, which a lot of people wouldn't do in the matchup because it's upwards of 10 extra damage or 15 if you go the Tyrion route sometimes. And on top of that, Soup Vendor and Acolyte of Pain, he just cycled through his deck so quickly that, yeah, of course, we're shining a light on the fact that Shivala was just the last card in there anyway, and he was able to just do it in a super flashy way,
Yeah.
which make sure you guys are clipping if you want to get free packs. But with even without, like he just had so much time left to just do that same thing over 2 turns anyway.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Very fair. Well, we'll see if he can close out the series. We're going to go to our last break of the day. So don't go anywhere. The conclusion to day number 1 here, week number 6, right after this.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient plague lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have them right, Red Eye!
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The scales of justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend!
In the face! Yeah! Hey guys, get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry.
Not to worry, Finley! We just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap. Watch out!
It's all good. I am phonally timed.
Gracious me.
What we actually need to do is press this. And there. A fish.
No. It's the scales of justice.
Oh. Ah, who wants to use it first?
Oh, I do! me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
My name is James Kostasich. My handle is Firebat. My username is based off the StarCraft player Firebat Hero. I was a fan of him and watched him on Twitch early on in his career, and then just named myself Firebat because I thought it was cool. Something about me that people don't know, I really hate spending money. I try and save it whenever I can. I recently learned how to repair a dishwasher so that I didn't have to buy a new dishwasher. I like doing stuff like that. I get a really good sense of accomplishment and pride whenever I'm able to salvage something. My favorite Hearthstone Esports memory is winning the 2014 World Championship. That was pretty tough to beat, but I'm hoping that one day I can beat that memory. Being in Grandmasters, to me, means that I get another chance to prove myself and show that 2014 wasn't a fluke and that I am still here to play. I mean, I love playing against my own region because I get to play against a lot of my friends, which is always like really fun and entertaining, and there's so many different mind games. But at the same time, I'd really love to play against Europe and really knock them down a few pegs because they're so cocky all the time. I look forward to winning the most and losing the least. I definitely don't want to lose, and I definitely want to win, so it's really simple.
Firebat currently up 1-0 over Purple after taking the first game in Holy Wrath Paladin versus Druid. Now we're going to move into Mage versus Druid to see if the Highlander Mage from Firebat can stand up against the might of Quest Druid.
And it's certainly tough since the nerf to Luna's Pocket Galaxy. That comes down a lot later in the game. Comes down at a point in the game where quite often Druid already has 10 mana and an activated quest and a bunch of cards in their hand, and they're already just playing huge threats. So the ability to just scam a game with an early Lunas into, 1 mana Alex, 1 mana Antonidas, Frost Nova, like all that kind of stuff. It happens so late in the game that Druid can normally deal with it by the point that you get it all set up. So instead, just faster starts, smoother curves, as the Mage can sometimes get enough pressure going in the early game. But it's still a tough time for the Mage, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, largely before, this stage of the metagame, before the nerfs to Luna's Pocket Galaxy and Conjurer's Calling, Druid was kept in check by Mage.
Yep.
Which was the weird part, because at the same time you were completing their quest, they were completing their quote-unquote quest of drawing Luna's Pocket Galaxy and
Correct.
playing it.
Yes.
And theirs was just 10 times more powerful than yours was. But I think was that a Zephyrus played on turn 2 for aggression?
It was on the Zephyrus draw because I was excited about playing it on turn 2. I think it's very important to do so in the matchup. Firebat just believes. Good piggy. 2 out of the 3 outcomes were fine for him there. He definitely did not want to be forced off his curve by pinging there.
I mean, I would have taken Amisha. He gets 1 extra card, you get a lot more damage.
Sure.
Potentially a lot.
Potentially a lot more damage.
I'm gonna win big.
Whoa.
Well, we know what chat wants. It's probably just unexpected results. Yep.
Come on!
Yeah, I mean, it's the responsible choice.
Why does Firebat have to be responsible?
Firebat doesn't care about our viewers winning 20 packs by making a clip of the best moment and getting the most views out of all clips made from our channel. Terms and conditions, Hearthstone Esports Twitter.
Hashtag ad.
Pretty sure everything I say while casting for Blizzard is hashtag ad.
How does it work for me then? Everything I do throughout my entire life is a hashtag?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Your own 1-year-old child is a hashtag ad.
Hold on the flame ward here. No reason to play it. Nothing's attacking your face.
It's a nice couple of 5/5s you have there, Purple. Shame if something were to happen to them. Purple with the smile of a man thinking, oh, he drew both the good cards.
Wait till he sees the other good cards. It's not out of the woods yet. His pressure is relenting.
Ooh. This curve has been dreamy for Firebat.
Yeah. This turn,
Take it or leave it.
yeah, not so much. But he can draw some cards if he so chooses. Card to a defender.
How about Iron Beak Owl Conjurer's Call?
I mean, that's a play.
I'm only half joking. It was okay, right?
All right, now Purple can finally start taking some turns that he wants.
Yep. It was a significantly bigger stat swing on the board than this would have been. But it's a lot of big resources down the drain as well.
Behold, jewels of the sands.
Our home, our tombs.
So Tortolan Pilgrim has Blizzard, Flame Strike,
Pocket Galaxy.
Power of Creation, Pocket Galaxy, Polymorph. It also has like Frost Nova, Frostbolt, Ray of Frost. Pretty high upside to it, honestly, but decides to go for the double Conjurer's Calling since it's not guaranteed to have a high health minion stick. Or a high cost minion stick, rather.
Throws out a second Conjurer's Calling when there was a 5/1 in play. Instead of just pinging the 5/1. It's kind of interesting. You get one extra minion. On average, that minion only has 5 health anyway, so the 5/1 just gets to trade into it.
Well, if his plan was Flame Ward, then it incentivizes the trade on the 5/1, which is you don't want, actually. Yeah. I guess. Interesting.
He rolled some good 6-drops as well.
Yeah. Now Purple has the option of Cenarius Innervate Power of the Wild. That would put the Oyster Surger out of range of Flame Ward.
Yep.
Would also push 8, 9 plus 9, 18.
What to do?
Time waits for no one.
I'm just going to trade and go for just Cenarius. Wants to draw a card off Crystal Merchant, it seems. Oh, no, he won't. Wait, what? Oh, he Worthy Expedition.
He started the turn with Worthy Expedition, so he couldn't innovate the power.
Yeah. I wasn't looking at his mana crystals properly.
Pretty juicy Flame Strike.
Clutch.
I feel like I'd rather have a copy of Conjurer's Calling Twin Spell in my hand right now
Yeah.
than that extra minion in play.
All right, Elise and Zephyrus are active. And this is kind of where it gets rough for the mage if they don't have Luminous Pocket Galaxy active, is that they're doing these powerful turns, yes, but that are very expensive.
Yes.
Whereas Druid will keep doing powerful turns for essentially the rest of the game.
See Power of the Wild or Zephyrus come down here? Probably Power, yeah. Looks like it. Start with drawing cards this turn. Firebat's hand not getting him there currently. Does not appear to have significantly improved.
Yeah. Without a reduction on like Archmage Tinnitus, it's so hard to just get there.
Yep. Firebat still has his Ray of Frost remaining. He's already played his Ancient Mysteries, though, which is another huge synergy card that he can pay off with Archmage Antonidas.
Hidden Oasis swipe.
Dump some cards, generate some board presence, pull yourself out of range of any Antonidas burst over the next couple of turns, push some damage, clear up some space in your hand so that Elise can start duping things if needs be.
Yeah. A weird setup for lethal in a multitude of ways because of Zephyrus.
That's true.
And the spell damage from Lodi.
Yep. Swipe Zephyrus Fireball.
Swipe Zephyrus anything?
What to
Frostbolt?
do?
Also, yes.
What to do?
Lava Burst. Swipe Zephyrus into Savage Roar. Swipe Zephyrus into Swipe.
Welcome to our new segment on Hearthstone Grandmasters. Name every Zephyrus card that would be lethal here.
I like that game.
You know what Admirable introduced me to the other week that's just changed my worldview?
What?
Avenging Wrath.
You mean the card that's been around literally forever?
I mean, every card that Zephyrus can offer you has been around literally forever.
Yeah, but like he introduced it to you.
Well,
Like
he
you
just
didn't know that it existed before.
No, okay, so he taught me to consider it in situations where I wasn't thinking about it before.
Oh, okay.
Because like you have like the damage ratios, right? Where like the Fireball they can deal 6 for 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes you fail to consider with an empty board they can do 8 damage for 6,
Yes.
which is something that kind of breaks that normal curve of how much damage Zephyrus
So
can do.
he didn't introduce you to Avenging Wrath. He introduced you to the possibility of Avenging Wrath for lethal with Zephyrus.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Glad we cleared up my confusion. Ooh, Mark of the Loa. I kind of want a Starfall. Mark of the Loa.
Uh-huh.
As weird as it sounds, because I don't want that
Need a
Starfall.
hand, Explorer?
Because I want better stuff from Elise. You get what I'm saying?
I do, but I think alternatively...
Having another 5/5 on the board seems good.
Yeah, what Purple did where you had have another guy in play seems a lot more
Yeah, it does play in a mind control deck, though.
Mental dislocator.
Sometimes it doesn't matter. So now we blizzard and wish we had selected Puzzle Box of Yaxeron.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Back in the good
What
old
to
days
do?
of just
What to
Yaxeron,
do?
we would talk about, as casters, the possibility of Yaxeron win conditions as early as turn 2 in some matchups.
Yep.
And when you're faced with this kind of matchup, I think that sometimes you do, and Firebat does not have a natural puzzle box in his deck. This is crazy talk right now. I mean, the knowing that early in the game that you're going to be so far behind that you need a puzzle box of Yaxeron is tough.
I do
Just because I'm sick of painting players in a negative light.
Admirable and oh, Silence Leaf. So, this is way more interesting than what we were talking about. Good boy, Zephyrus. Silence is the right one as well. That's important.
Yeah, because the other one has 4 attack naturally.
Excellently done, Purple. Well done.
Yes.
Firebat? TJ was way too busy memeing about something to
I
notice.
get to be Firebat?
To notice that Zephyrus lethal, but I'm glad you were paying attention.
Yeah. Purple ties it up.
As expected, really. I don't think Mage has too much gas to get over that line.
I mean,
since
he
the
had a
nerfs came
pretty
in.
good early game, too. He opened with Zephyrus.
Yeah.
Had Rito on 6 to clear Oasis Surgers.
Yeah.
He didn't have Pocket Galaxy on 7, and that's where he went wrong.
Yes, and I really do think that makes all the difference. I think like maybe if he didn't roll the Huffer, if he got the Misha or the Leok and then his 3-drop survives, maybe his curve could have ended up even more aggressive if he'd have like, maybe he could have taken a trade on the next turn and like played Conjurer's Calling on 4 instead of playing Volpera's Scoundrel on 4. That way just been pushing even more damage. Maybe that gets him over the line. Maybe that one weird turn that I don't fully understand could have made a small difference, but I don't think so, where the second Conjurer's Calling was played, which he rolled a Reckless Rocketeer, but on average he was just giving up that extra damage to a 5-1 that he could have pinged anyway. That was kind of interesting to me, but I think takeaway from that one in general was just it's a pretty bad matchup. Druid, just we give them the extra time by slowing down Mage, as the nerfs did to Conjurer's Calling and Luna's Pocket Galaxy. They're going to find time to just play their cards, and if Quest Druid gets to play all their cards, they usually win.
Yeah. That seems to be the case. Now Purple has Priest and Paladin remaining versus Firebat's Mage and Highlander Warrior. Highlander Mage and Highlander Warrior. So if Firebat queued Mage last time, I would assume he would queue Mage again. Because if you look at it from his perspective, there's one favorable and one there's one incredibly unfavorable. Which is Paladin versus Mage.
Yes.
Which is one of the worst matchups that you can get. From the Warriors' perspective, I don't know, maybe we see a Warrior queue here. Highlander Warrior versus either Paladin or Priest.
I could see that. It makes some sense to me. I don't know how much of an impact the Highlander aspect has on the Paladin matchup, because he's still playing the 2 shield block. He's just then only playing 1 weapons project, but he does still have the Harrison Jones in there as well. So the ability to out-armor is mostly unaffected. Actually, 1 Eternium Rover as well is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. But he's starting with the Eternium Rover, which is the important part about Eternium Rover.
True.
Because it can also potentially delay card draw, because it might force the Paladin to not want to play minions early on.
Right.
Including like Blood Mage Thanos and Novice Engineer, because they don't want to gain you extra armor. But this matchup makes sense because from Purple's perspective, he doesn't want to queue Priest into 2 quote-unquote bad matchups. Instead, he'd rather have 1 okay one really good one with Paladin, which makes the Warrior queue from Firebat make even more sense in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Pretty expected when you consider everything.
I do wonder about this Highlander control deck from Firebat. I think obviously the addition of like Zephyrus Backstab as an early game option or Zephyrus Earthshock as an early game option is huge against Priest. How much you gain from that versus the lack of consistency, I would certainly have to take a look at. But he does have 2 copies of, the good cards, 2 Brawls, 2 Warpaths. Both of those huge in the Priest matchup. Warpath, not so much, but Brawl, good enough to keep generally in the matchup.
The worst nightmare for the Eternium Rover start.
Let the pain speak
The
to
3-4. But now Purple does have to make the decision: do I deny armor or card draw?
Right. Which is harder than it seems, because denying card draw also denies armor on average, because they draw less of the armor gain cards.
Yep.
It's a very linear matchup. Firebat is not going to kill Purple very often, so Firebat is just kind of racing his health total up to 60 and beyond to where he feels secure against all the damage coming through.
Let me think.
Though there are like specific moments of pressure that can net you a lot of like essential health gain. Like if you force them to play like off their normal game plan.
Yeah.
We've seen this matchup has been atrocious in Grandmasters thus far, with Paladin, especially recently with Zephyrus,
Move quickly.
having a significant edge. But the times where we do see the Warrior have a good amount of game is times where they're able to pressure while armoring, which is all unlocked by an Eternium Overstart, because that unlocks like Snip Snap.
So you've been seeing Paladin win this in Americas?
Yes.
Do the Warrior list play like double Eternium Rover, double weapons projects?
Yeah.
And the Paladins have still been winning?
Paladins are still winning.
Wow, okay.
It's not like massive.
Yeah, sure.
But their Bomb Warriors had a lot of success against Holy Wrath Paladin.
As it would, yep.
But the Control Warriors, there have been, the double weapons project has been super popular. We've been seeing like single weapons projects, double Eternium Rovers. But I do think that some of the Warriors' approach to the matchup was wrong.
Okay.
Where they don't focus on armor and instead focus on pressure, where it's you focus on armor and then get pressure where it's secondary.
Okay.
So.
Does Firebat have any additional rush minions in his deck? Or does he just play the one Restless Mummy and the one Ziliax?
Restless Mummy and one
Your
Ziliax.
wish is my suggestion.
He does have a Faceless Manipulator.
Highlander deck and still no room for a Militia Commander.
Highlander deck and still playing the Zephyrus as a 3/2.
That is 100% of the games where Firebat has just jammed his Zephyrus on curve, and 33% of the games where it has done something better than being a Bloodfen Raptor.
I'm glad you're keeping track. Oh! Baleful Banker's the only one that matters?
Baleful Banker matters a lot, though. That's the best one!
A slight smile from Purple.
Yep.
Job's done.
So in Europe, the Holy Wrath Paladin loses?
Yeah, overwhelmingly so. In the early weeks, the Paladins were winning, but no one was playing Weapons Project, no one was playing Harrison Jones. And then as soon as those came in, it seemed insurmountable every time the matchup happened.
Granted, it does feel like we don't see this matchup very often, and when we do, it's a player like Eddie who just plays the most aggressively card draw heavy version of the deck.
Oh, right, he
you could
plays like the
possibly get.
Salad's Pride version.
Yeah. Which also, like, just kind of incidentally plays more early game minions, like Loot Hoarders, that can chip in points of damage.
Ziliax for pressure here coming out for Firebat. That is a big inflection point in the matchup of like when the first Holy Wrath comes down, the Ziliax is the key card to kind of bridge the gap between your health total and the second one.
Like a Ziliax shield block, weapons project, burst.
Right. Or like Omega Devastator, your Shavala, play Ziliax on top of it, trade into the banker, something like that.
Yep. But it's about a burst of health to try and buy time.
Yep.
One shot, one kill.
Very important Elven Archer to play around that Divine Shield, play around the Faceless Manipulator that is in Firebat's deck. 2 Divine Shielded minions on the board. Could have been a potential nightmare for Purple.
Job's done.
The Faceless makes it interesting because he can Faceless Shavala.
That's a excellent point. Okay.
Like to play with fire?
Purple has just absolutely scythed through his deck this game. 4 cards left already. Still has a Prismatic Lens in hand. It's turn 9, by the way.
I mean, this seems average. Okay. Well, Ziliax is gone, so Beryllium Nullifier all of a sudden feels less powerful. And just in the matchup in general, it feels less powerful.
Yep.
Clockwork Goblin has to be the choice unless to try and get that extra damage and fatigue, because you will have to kill them because they do have like so much damage that can happen over a period of time with Zephyrus and Tyrion if you can't line up your weapons project
No tomb can hold me.
That was tough. But Firebat's starting to run out of time. At 38 life, if you consider Faceless on Shirvala, you can count that as like 45.
Wow, that second consecration is pretty fantastic here.
Oof. It allows him to push forward Choose Over as well.
Yep.
Can even play Zephyrs and just bank a Pyroblast.
Sure.
I don't think it would. No, it would give you proactive plays.
It would just give you minions, yeah.
I'm almost out of cards.
With 0 mana left. I mean, you could play it first. Play with 2 mana. You can play with 8 mana remaining. And
you're
then
just getting Tyrion, Gorehowl, and probably Guardian of Kings. So that health total? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. It might give you. No, his opponent's not low enough.
Your opponent's at 36. It's not giving you a Pyroblast.
I'm trying to find a way to manipulate it, man. Give
Why
me a
do you
break.
always want to Pyroblast people?
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to go away and reevaluate all my life choices.
The hardest thing to do is to get Zephyrs to give you a Ysera. You have to play with 0 mana remaining going into turn 9.
Yes, same with Alexstrasza. I've seen happen as well. Or you can have like a 1-cost Zephyrs and play it on turn 10. That works sometimes.
Yeah, but in a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of cards.
Purple is almost out of cards.
Yep.
Purple's last card, however, is not Shirvala. Does not have that luxury.
It is... Is it timeout? No, he used a timeout.
Played one, yeah.
Oh, it's the bomb. Duh. The bomb that this Clockwork Goblin that's on the board just shuffled in, he didn't draw.
Yep.
You stop casting Bomb Ward for long enough, you forget that they exist. Okay. Looking for a weapons project. $43 now, which means the 7 healing from a Faceless Manipulator pulls him up to exactly 50, so he'll be at 52 when the armor comes down, but that means Zephyrus Lightning Bolt or Zephyrus Soulfire will still be lethal over 2 turns, and there's still that True Silver damage. I think Purple quite deliberately just hasn't played this True Silver because it gives Firebat an opportunity to draw cards. Yep.
Like, he just hasn't needed it. He's had such a smooth draw through his deck that he's just been able to draw cards and deal damage every turn.
Yep, and filled up his hand for the bomb also, which is a secondary effect of holding onto that damage. It's a win-win.
Yep.
Let's stash that away.
Firebat down to 20.
I'm out of cards.
Subdue the player on the
Faceless! Purple, you're a genius!
Pog Champs, clip it!
You're an actual genius, Purple. Purple is just trying his best to have his no big deal face on right now. He knows he's smart. He knows it.
What a beautiful human being.
What a majestic boy. Prime example of a Hearthstone professional gamer. Real talk though, that's actually pretty sick.
What now?
He's a smart boy.
Mm-hmm.
Afraid to break it to you, Firebat, but 27 is not enough these days. It used to be. It's not anymore.
Once upon a time.
GG. Pick your poison. Soulfire or Lightning Bolt.
I'm out of cards.
Purple takes the series 2-1 over Firebat and knocks him down to 5-6. And Purple goes up to 7-4. So a big match, especially for that playoff seeding, because Purple, if he had lost his match, would have tied Firebat in the standings with only 3 matches to play. So these kind of close in standings matchups start to get even more crucial as we get to these later stages of the regular season. Keep in mind, 4 players go to playoffs as opposed to 3 from Season 1. First place gets a bye in that group stage, and the fourth place actually gets seeded right into that lower part of the bracket. So seeding is, I think, a big deal still going into the playoffs in season 2.
It is, yeah, and as it stands, Purple improves his record to 7-4, which actually pushes him towards the top of those standings, and I believe now squares up his record against Firebat in Grandmasters. I think Firebat won the first encounter. He now squares it up at 1-1, which I'm sure is vitally important between the two of them. I don't think either one will want complete bragging rights over a season of Grandmasters over the other.
Yeah, now they can just call it even, let it relax until
Shake
season
hands.
3.
Well played. Subdue your own guy got me.
Yep.
All right, fair enough.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, it looks like we do have Purple on the line for a winner interview. Hey, Purple, can you hear us?
Hey, who's the new guy? That's not Frodan.
No, it's not Frodan.
I mean, should I just leave? You guys want to have a private talk?
So Purple, how you doing, man? How you feeling? How are you feeling coming into the week this week?
I'm pretty relaxed. I mean, I think I'm safely out of the relegation territory, so it was it was fine. Like game 1, he completely nutter butters me. Game 2, I nutter butter him. Game 3,
you nutter buttered him with the subdue.
Oh yeah, we played that good. I asked him right after the match, like, "You holding Jones faceless?" He's like, "Yep."
Yep. I was sat here like he's just got a true silver in his hand that he's not playing, so he can't draw cards, and then you just go and subdue your own Shivala. Like Purple, you're an actual genius. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not an expert at the deck. Like I've now played 50 games of Paladin, of course, in my life. But I think I'm better than all but like 1 or 2 people in Grandmasters. So like, holy crap, guys, you got to step it up. Subdue your own guys, play around the faceless. Like, you got to step it up.
Yeah, you put him on blast. Play around the faceless.
To be fair, I don't think too many people have had to play against Highlander Warrior with a faceless manipulator in it. I'm just saying,
I'm just blasting because we got ourselves a non-NA caster, and got to send a message that our the NA players are supreme.
Well, if you guys could send that message with the way you actually play the games as well, then that would.
Oh, jeez! You set him up, Purple. You set him up.
Purple, you play great. You are immune. You are an honorary EU Grandmaster. Congratulations.
Well, Purple, our interviews are always a pleasure, and today you get the opportunity, since you were the last match on stream, to send a message to all of the lovely viewers. And we put everybody in an awkward spot by saying, you have the last words, Purple.
Oh.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
Guys, thanks for watching the channel. I hope some of you got some packs today. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And you'll be seeing me tomorrow in tomorrow's winner interview. See you tomorrow, dudes.
Awesome. Thanks, Purple. Congratulations on the win. See you tomorrow.